Absolutely nothing more compelling than watching someone chew on camera, is there? Hi, I'm Susan Reigler, bourbon writer and former president of the Bourbon Women Association. Welcome to my Old Kentucky bourbon home here in Louisville. And I'm going to lead you through a tasting today of 3 different bourbon styles. Very basic bourbons that you can easily find at your local store, but really give you a great idea of the range of flavors that you can find in bourbons. We're going to taste Old Forester, made here in Louisville by Brown Forman. Larceny, a wheated bourbon that substitutes wheat in the mash bill in place of rye, and that's made by Heaven Hill here in Louisville. And Four Roses, their single barrel recipe that it has a very high rye content. So it'll be an excellent contrast to the other 2. So just to start off, we're going to go with the Old Forester first. And a good thing to do when you're doing a tasting is you go from the lowest proof to the highest proof. And that way you don't have alcohol that's already burned your taste buds and then you can't taste the lower proof bourbon. So we'll start with the Old Forester, which is 86 proof. It has 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% barley in its mash bill. So we'll nose it. You'll notice that I nose it and then I blow away the alcohol. Nose it again, and I get way more of the aromatics coming off of it. The fruit, like the banana notes in this, a little bit of citrus, some cinnamon spice, and a lot of caramel. Old Forester is really renowned for having a lot of that caramel note that's so distinctive in bourbon. Usually you have, of course, caramel and or vanilla. This one definitely leans toward the caramel end of the spectrum. So, taste it. Getting a lot of that wonderful, delicious caramel, rich caramel flavor in the mouth. A lot of that fruit and spice, a little brown sugar, caramel, the fruit. It's almost like a bourbon Foster, you know, or a bananas bourbon Foster is really, really nice. So good basic traditional bourbon and at a very good price too. You usually can find this for about $20 a bottle retail. So good one to keep around, great for cocktails. Let's explore some of its flavor layers a little more. I'm going to try, and I keep these on hand in tastings. I have some dried cherries, pecans, and some caramel candy. Have a dried cherry or cranberry works, or even a raisin. Make sure you have that flavor now in your mouth. Boy, that brightens up the fruit. Any of the sort of any peppery spice that was there is gone. It's just really, really opens up the fruit here. So you really draw out that component of the bourbon. Now, we're going to have pecan. Absolutely nothing more compelling than watching someone chew on camera, is there? Wow. So the fruit is gone, and I'm now getting the woody tannins, the oak. You know, it's not bitter, but you're definitely getting that sort of sweet, wonderful element coming out of the barrel. Some more of that caramel, but definitely it's sort of dried it right out. Very, very, it's fascinating because you kind of get that other end of what's happening in the bourbon. Now, if you want to bring them all back together, have a piece of caramel candy. Small piece, they're kind of chewy. Okay. Voila! All of those elements of the bourbon, the fruit, the nuts, the caramel, they all come back together after the caramel candy. So you're sort of taking it apart, you've dissected it, but you put it all back together. So before we move on to our next bourbon, I'm going to have an oyster cracker. Nice to have these at hand. Some people like corn chips. And a sip of water. All right, we're going to go on to Larceny, which is about 20% wheat in place of rye. The nose is very much more toward the vanilla side, and probably some apples in here rather than the bananas. Still some sweet spices, baking spices. This is 93 proof, by the way. Very different on the palate, very much vanilla. The fruit, while it's apples, is more like apple peel. A little dry, a little bit of that herbaceous element to it, but a very smooth, soft finish. Very, very nice. And a huge contrast between the rye mash bill and the wheated one. Again, think wheat bread, much sweeter than rye bread, and you can get the idea of that kind of flavor influence. All right, we're going to move on to our third bourbon, the Four Roses. Now, their single barrel has 35% rye in the mash bill, which is almost twice as much as the Old Forester, which you remember had 18% rye. So we're going to expect this to be a lot spicier, a lot more peppery, which it is, and very. This is a lot of depth of flavor in that. Lots of both caramel and vanilla, maybe brown sugar, creme brulee. Very complex sip. It has a very, very long finish. Lots of different fruits, some dark fruit, some pitted fruit, lots of cinnamon, a little bit of pepper in this, but kind of like a pleasant white pepper. Very smooth sip, even at the higher proof. And actually, usually the Four Roses single barrel is 100 proof, one that you will find. This is the same mash bill, but this happens to be a private selection, which is higher in its proof. It's a barrel strength. Very, very smooth though at a 3-digit proof. So thank you so much for tasting with me today. Happy sipping, and cheers.